Alrighty, hello everyone. My name is Rhett Phillips. I am the president of the KU Blockchain Institute here at the University of Kansas. For those of you who don't know about KUBI, KUBI is a student-led interdisciplinary organization dedicated to the development, the research, the education of blockchain technology. So really what our goal is it's to make Lawrence the tech hub of the Midwest. And part of that is through educational outreach like this. So we are launching a new program called Block Talks. Essentially what these are short to medium length videos explaining certain fundamental technologies of blockchain, certain use cases of blockchain, and different aspects like that. So with that, let's get started into the first ever Block Talk by the KU Blockchain Institute. So for this first Block Talk, we're going to cover the blockchain basics. So fundamentally, how does blockchain work? How do we interact with it, and what do you need to understand? So why should you care about blockchain first? At a macro level, blockchain is really changing the world around us. It's changing the way how we trust others, the security in transactions, the speed of transactions, the liquidity of assets, and it really connects the global economy of the world. Something else that's really important about blockchain and understand is it puts the power back into our hands, the people. In a lot of sense, it can cut out the intermediary third party that would take fees or slow up the process. So it increases efficiency and it allows peer-to-peer transactions between virtually anyone. And really what this equates to is the democratization or decentralization of assets, data, resources, knowledge, wealth, pretty much anything you can think of. And for those of you who are students out there, either in college or high school, when you graduate, understanding blockchain technology will give you a competitive advantage over those in the workforce, and it's going to be important for you to understand. So what is a block and what is a chain, right? How do these work? So a block is a ledger or a record holder of data or information. And a chain essentially is the last entry in a previous block is the first entry in a new block. So if you look at that schematic there on the bottom, you'll see a Genesis block. Essentially, a Genesis block is the first ever block created. And again, a block just holds information or data. You'll see that once that block is full of data, it has a hash function there at the bottom. And that hash function, the last hash function in that block, is the first hash function in the new block. And this is incredibly important in why blockchain has its name. It is a digital record keeper of data information that is chained together. And what enables this process is cryptography, which we'll get into more later. And one really important distinction I want to make is that blockchain and cryptocurrencies are completely different things and they should not be lumped together. Blockchain is the underlying technology of crypto and what enables it to operate. So they're not the same thing. So what is cryptography? Cryptography is the use of mathematical algorithms and proofs to secure transactions. And how it does this is through hashing. So hashing is taking an input and it changes it into a alphanumeric encrypted code. So think of this as a unique identifier, maybe like a fingerprint, okay? And the rate at which this happens, the hash rate, is the amount of computational power being extended or expended on a blockchain network at any one moment. The higher the hash rate, the harder it is to execute cryptographic protocol. So you could think of this as a bottleneck. So this is sort of the problem we're running into right now with Bitcoin. It can take you several minutes to hours sometimes to get your BTC that's transacted, which when you compare that to the current financial system and how it operates is much slower. So if you're buying, one BTC at today's price is, I think, 59, 60,000, you want to know pretty much instantaneously that that's coming to your account. You don't want to have to wait several hours. So that's something to keep in mind in cryptography is that the hash rate is a very important figure. So if you look at that schematic there on the right, it just kind of further illustrates this. So you have your data coming in It goes to the hash function, so it's inputted into an alphanumeric string of characters, and out comes your hash value. So cryptography continued. So there's a couple more key terms we need to address. So the first is your public key. This is a digital identifier on the blockchain network, and this is known by the entire network. So a good analogy of this potentially could be email, right? You have an email address. A private key is a unique identifier that is hidden from the network. So outside of you, people cannot see your private key. So think of this as a password. So when you kind of put these together, your public key enables people to see who you are and send stuff to you, like your email, and how you access this information, how you get into it is with your private key, which is the password in this analogy. So if you go to the bottom there, there is just a very basic demonstration of how someone might send something on a blockchain network. For example, again, we'll use Bitcoin just because it is one of the most well-known ways to transact on the blockchain network. So Alice wants to send Bob 1 Bitcoin. Alice knows how to send it to Bob or who Bob is through his public key. So when Alice sends it, she uses her private key to sign off on this. It goes through the encryption network of cryptography. It is verified on the blockchain network, and then it is then sent to Bob, and Bob has to decrypt it using his private key. This is a very powerful process with blockchain in the middle. So again, going back to our analogy of public key, private key, email, and password. Okay, Alice knows how to send it to Bob as public key, his email, but Bob is the only one who can access this Bitcoin because he has the password to get into his wallet. And something that becomes apparent with this is it's called the trapdoor effect. So information is virtually impossible to trace through the blockchain network or private information with your private key. And this is incredibly important. This is a very powerful thing. So really soak it in because this provides security to people. This means you can transact with people anywhere in the world and you don't have to know them because you can ensure security in your transactions. So data coming in won't be going out. So there's not a third party who can see it. There's not someone on the network who controls it. Very profound statement, very important. So let's go into some of the takeaways from this presentation. Blockchain does not equal cryptocurrency. So these are very different things. Again, blockchain is the underlying technology of cryptocurrency. Blockchain is much bigger than cryptocurrency. So this is only one of its many use cases. A block is data on a ledger that are chained together by the last entry in the previous chain being the first entry in the new chain, or the new block rather. Blockchain's cryptographic protocol is able to be extremely safe and secure, thus promoting trust between parties. There is a lot of power in knowing you can transact with anyone, anywhere in the world, and have faith and confidence that you are having a secure and honest transaction. Public keys are identifiable to the network. That's how people identify you to send information to you. And private keys, again, are hidden from the network and they unlock data or information by being a unique identifier. With that, I want to thank you for listening to the first ever Block Talk brought to you by KUBI. If you have any questions, in the About section of our website, there is a button to connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.